What's up guys, this is Sean Tan and today let's talk about the different types of property investors in the real estate world. In property investment, there's only two ways of making money lah. Number one is via rental returns. Number two is actually capital appreciations. Usually, rental returns only includes like service apartments and condominiums, where the rental usually can cover or is very close to the installment amount. Then for capital appreciation usually happens to landed properties, usually terrace houses, where in a very secluded area, maybe in a new township, you invest, you buy very low, the first phase of a major township, then 5 years later, 7 years later, the boom, 3 times, 5 times, even sometimes. It's also very rare where a condo apartment can actually double or triple in capital appreciations. And then it's also very rare to find landed houses that the rental rate can actually cover installment. They do exist, just that it's very hard to come by where you want a property that is very good and healthy in rental returns as well as capital appreciation. With that kind of profile and characteristics of different property range, right, this kind of forms different property investors with different kind of appetite. So generally for today's discussion, I divided into 4. Property investor type number 1, which is only all about cash flow. These property investors only invest usually on high rises, which is condominiums and apartments, because they are very dependent on their LDR. LDR is how the bank measures whether to lend you more money for your property purchase or not. And then it's very important to buy a property that is making them money. Let me explain. If property A rental is higher than the installment amount, then it's classified as an asset and banks will love you more. And then when you buy property B, the same thing happens. C and D and E, the bank will continue giving you loan without hesitation because you just got richer by buying more properties. However, this is a very cash flow based game where the more properties you buy, the more wealthier you get. However, in terms of capital appreciation wise, it's usually not as great in comparison to landed terrace houses. Okay, I would call this the safest type of property investment method because these properties fall in the range of 200 to 400 over 1,000 because it's a less attractive areas where the demand for housing is a lot. Usually it's like those rundown 5 to 7 years apartments next to internationals, next to schools or local markets or local primary schools. These are usually the kind of areas where these are usually found. Type number 2 is the super high risk profiles. These are the people that are going for new projects. And because there's a new saying in town that is teaching people how to gain as much loan as possible, because of the insurance that is either MRTA or MLTA, choose one. But MRTA, if you subscribe to it, once you pass away or anything happen to you, the property automatically falls onto the children's hand. So they say their teaching is that property investment you don't need to pay back. So these are very high risk takers, so there's no right or wrong in this discussion, just that if it makes right, then they will make huge money. These people usually invest in properties that are new, right? Basically they are new and they require less capital outlay, meaning if you buy from developers, usually not only you don't need to pay anything now, because of the market right now, a lot of developers are actually giving out extra discounts, like up to 30-40%. Means that if you buy a 1 million property, it's 40% discount. 40% discount, meaning you get 40% cashback, which is 400,000. Means you buy a $1 million property, you get 400,000 back. So of course, every 1 million you need to pay 5,000 back in installment for the next 30 years. So this 400,000 actually allows you to pay back that 5,000 for the next few months in order to buy time until the current market recovers back to the boom time. Currently, people are buying a lot, and just sometimes I'm not disagreeing, I'm just having that thought where, because now they are trying everything to actually get more loans from banks. So these are the people that are actually leveraging a lot on financing. Like one person can, or one couple can actually buy up to 5 or 6 units per time. I don't know why Bank Negara is not doing anything, but these people are so clever in their management. They are enabling investors to get up to 5 and 6 units per time. So if they really make it, they hit big bucks. But if they don't, I don't know. So property type number 3, which is just sit there and relax type. These are the people, usually business people, where their main core money making machine is their business. So they have too much money, right? And it's not advisable to keep all your eggs in one basket. So instead of FD, they will put into gold, they will put into stocks, they will put into real estate. Why? Because it's the best hedge against inflation. So they will just buy properties, right? Like, oh, it makes sense to buy, just buy. Usually landed lah. So they just buy and buy and buy. Whether they rent out the unit or not, they don't care. Whether sometimes they rather not rent to people because of the hassle. They really rather not do anything to the house and just wait for time to appreciate. Type number 4, which is the worst, is over-analyze but do nothing type. They just analyze, and every discussion with their friends or peers or colleagues, they are the maestro of all. They know how to do, how people do. They went for financial course, financial talk, property investment course, whatever they went, but they have not just tried one. The first house is always the scariest, and the first documents I understand because my brother just got his very first property and he feels so grown up with it because he has been feared and he learned so long, just that a lot of people just post and talk about it without actually taking action. So with that 4 different types, there's no right or no wrong, right? Just that if you understand risk and return, right, the higher the risk, the higher the return. The lower the risk, the lower the return. So if you're a more conservative type, you can actually mix in between type 1 and 2, which is like you have some condo and some landed. So I'm like that. But bonus, I have a landed which the rental amount can actually cover installment. Very rare. I got it by luck. But the worst of all is to be type number 4. In this 2018, right, we are at the end of year 2018 already. It's all about affordability. Currently, the entire market is helping first time buyers own a new property. Like you have all this government housing, you have bank pushing out different loans, even developers are giving out rent then own. You have Houz-Keys from Maybank, you have theEdge property giving peer-to-peer financing. Lim Guan Eng is actually pushing for developers to lower down the price. You have Prima actually doing roadshows all the time, all just for first time owners to buy their house. And with all this, it's the best time because all developers are deeply desperate in letting go their stocks. So you are in the best position. Of course, if you have that financial stability, go for it, because now it's one of the worst time, but you have more room to appreciate. And if you calculate correctly, before you buy a property, you calculate the rental rate, which we always talk about. You look at the surrounding to determine the rental, if it can cover 80% or 90%. It's up to your risk appetite. Risk return, if you have that in mind, you won't go wrong. The only way you will go wrong is to actually not do anything and pass these 5 years, and when the market recovers, too late. In order to prevent that, do educate yourself, go into seminars, go into property galleries, go search for 20 different properties, and to really decide like how are you going to do so. If you are just a newly grad, you are just trying to sort out your financial, no rush. Really no rush, because it's a very big commitment. I must agree, it's a very big commitment, but it's really up to your own choice. If I took that risk and now 5 years, 10 years later, I tank myself. But if you are into entrepreneurship, you want to start your own business, you need that cash flow, so be it. There's no right, no wrong, just that all these are up for reference. If you're a 9 to 5 worker and you have that stability on your side. I think that's all for this episode, guys. If you really like this video, like it, share it, and even subscribe for more informations like this. 2019 is almost here. Decide whether what's your goal next year for in terms of your investment or real estate, whether is it in the picture or not. Until next time, this is Sean Tan. See you next time. Ciao.